I'm Tim Barkley with Charleston Home and Design Magazine, and I want to thank you for listening to Talking About a Home show on the radio. Now we're talking with Zach Faulkner with Smart Vent Foundation Flood Vents. How you doing, Zach?
I'm doing great, Tim. How about you?
Good. Zach, take a moment and tell everybody about Smart Vent Foundation Flood Vents.
All right. Well, we are a line of ICCES, which is the International Code Council's evaluation service, certified engineered flood vents. And what that means is that we've been performance tested to relieve hydrostatic pressure during a flood. We do a lot of continuing education courses for architects, surveyors, code officials, insurance agents. We've got a lot of big things coming up this year, and we're really looking forward to helping people save some money on their flood insurance as well.
Well, we may have lost a few listeners with some of the jargon you just mentioned. What is a foundation flood vent? What is hydrostatic? What was it you said?
Hydrostatic pressure. Okay, so a foundation flood vent. If you live in a floodplain, which obviously Charleston area is basically all floodplain, any enclosed area below base flood elevation, which is really your first living floor, has to have some sort of venting. A lot of people use typical air vents, which have a mesh screen on the back and a bunch of louvers and screens that get clogged with debris during a flood, and that builds up hydrostatic pressure. And hydrostatic pressure, easy way to think about that, is when there's a flood, it's just the constant water pressure on your foundation, just the pressure from water being there, and it's actually quite a large thing, which hydrostatic vents or engineered vents can relieve. Our vents, smart vents, actually open up, allowing two fully unobstructed areas for that water and debris to pass through and out the other side of your crawl space. Whereas, again, a non-engineered opening or an air vent that's used as a flood vent doesn't open up, has that mesh screen on the back, and gets clogged up.
Gotcha. Okay, let's try to paint a picture for our listeners. Okay. So homeowner lives in a house that's built over a crawl space.
Right.
And so they probably know what you're talking about when you mention air vents that are in the foundation wall of the crawl space area.
Right.
And that's to allow air to pass into the crawl space area.
Right.
Not allow excessive moisture underneath your house.
Correct.
And so forth.
Correct.
But then when we have a big flood like we had back in October,
right,
or we have a storm surge from a tropical storm or a hurricane, which
coming up
frequently happens in the Charleston area. We've been very, very lucky. I've been reading some things about how we're probably due for some sort of an event like that. So what happens when we do have a storm surge or a flood like we had back in October? People have those air vents in their foundation. What happens when that water starts to rise and come toward your house?
Right. Okay. Well, so during a flood, or in Charleston, if it rains for 5 minutes, downtown gets flooded. You have debris buildup. If you think of water pouring down the street, it's picking up any and everything in its path, and you have that flood. And again, with an air vent, which most people have, and a lot of people don't even know that there are other options out there, like a smart vent, which is, again, an engineered vent. They get clogged with that debris. So if you just think of, like, if you have a bunch of mulch around your home or pine straw, what have you, that water picks that mulch, pine straw up and throws it against those vents. And what happens when you have an air vent is they get clogged up. The reason that you have to have some sort of venting per building code is to relieve the hydrostatic pressure. With an air vent, they get clogged up, and then there is no relief of that hydrostatic pressure. With a smart vent, they actually open up, allowing two areas for that water and debris to pass on through. That's the big deal. We have little.
So you don't want to. You want the water.
You
to
want
pass.
the water. Yeah. Obviously, you don't want to think about your crawl space getting soaked and whatnot, but it's part of building code, and you have to have some sort of vent on there. And to have an engineered vent that opens up is going to save your foundation. Better to not have a cracked foundation than have a little bit of water and dampness in there after a big storm.
So the water pressure can build up and damage your foundation.
Absolutely.
Where your crawl space is. If you have smart vent foundation flood vents the flood vents will sense that the water is starting to rise,
Yep.
and they'll automatically open and allow the water to pass through.
Exactly. Yeah, we have there's like little, if you want to just think of it as like fishing bobbers on each side of the inside of the door on the vent, and they sit down in a little locking hole so animals can't crawl inside. Mm-hmm. And then when a flood comes, it lifts those bobber out of the locking mechanism, and then allows the door to hinge and open up either way. And they're also bidirectional, so no matter what side that water's coming in, and once it gets into your crawl space, it's able to get out the other side as well.
It kind of reminds me of if you had a dam or a levee,
right,
and the water was rising and rising, the operators of the dams or the levees will try to relieve pressure by letting water through the dams.
That's exactly the same.
Dam there could be so much water pressure building up that the dam breaks
Exactly.
or the levee fails.
That's a great comparison. Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. So does the Smart Vent Foundation flood vent act as an air vent when there's not a flood?
We have a couple different series of vents. We have our dual function series, which can dual function as an air vent for people who have crawl spaces where they want airflow. And then we have our insulated series for people who may have a conditioned crawl space or they need vents in their garage where there is no airflow. Mm-hmm. So we do have the two options for those people who want it or don't.
How can Smart Vent help homeowners that might be in a flood area find they might be? We've been hearing stories about the flood insurance prices going up. How can Smart Vent help homeowners save on their flood insurance?
Right. Well, in Charleston area, there's a lot of older homes. We'll call them pre-firm homes, kind of getting a little technical here. But that's basically homes that are 1970s and older, which there's a lot of those around here. Those homes, their flood insurance rates, whether they know it or not, if they've been wondering why there's an increase, there was a law that was passed called Grim Waters, which over the next from 2014 on, for the next 5 years, their insurance is going to go up 18 to 25%. So for those out there who are like, what's going on? Why is my insurance skyrocketing? That's why. And we have a division of SmartVent called FRE, which is a service to help homeowners lower their flood insurance. We have a staff of certified floodplain managers who, if a homeowner can send us in their elevation certificate, which if they don't have a copy of it, their insurance agent will. Again, that's their elevation certificate. They can send it into ec@yourfloodrisk.com or just call up the Smart Vent, or if they can get my contact information off our website and send it to me as well. And our certified floodplain managers can read that elevation certificate, tell that homeowner any and every possible scenario for them to lower their flood insurance, and we actually own our own insurance company. So not only are we able to tell them exactly what to do to lower their insurance, we can tell them exactly how much money they're going to save and exactly what their new premium will be before they actually do any of the mitigation work. So it really can show them the cost to savings ratio, which gets that homeowner their willingness to comply and therefore become more compliant and save. On average, we see 83%.
So if the homeowner replaces the air vents that they have in their foundation with Smart Vent Foundation flood vents, they can provide that documentation, and then the insurance company is going to say, oh, okay, you've got a product that is going to save your foundation,
right? So
we're going to give you a break on your flood insurance premium.
Right, yeah. One of the biggest problem is that homes that if they already have vents, they're non-engineered or air vents, and they don't have enough. Most air vents, they're square. You have to match the square inches that the vent is rated for the square foot of enclosed space. All right. Most air vents only get about 30 to 70 maybe on the high end square inch to square foot ratio. Smart vents are certified through the International Code Council, which is the building codes, to get 200 square foot per vent. So a lot of people don't have enough vents. And that's the biggest problem that we see. So adding a few smart vents in is going to get their home compliant, going to get that square foot covered, and lower their insurance. And like I said, 83% is what we see on average. It's a real number. Try it out. We promise you'll see some great benefits.
How much does each Smart Vent Foundation flood vent cost on average?
Well, it depends where you're going, but the MSRP on them is $200. We are a 100% American-made product. Our plant is in Anderson, South Carolina, so it's a South Carolina-made product, which is cool for being in the Charleston area. We are made of 316 marine-grade stainless steel. So for the boaters out there, it's the same thing that's on your boat, same thing that your your boat anchors are made of.
And how many flood vents on average does a house need?
Well, it just depends again on you got some mansions here, like if you go down to Daniel Island area but it depends. Anywhere from 2 to 6, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, or 12 on a huge house. Each vent's rated for 200 square foot, so whatever your square footage.
But it's not that much to prevent to have. And can you help folks with the installation?
Yeah, we have recommended installers. Excuse me. If you go to our website on our locator tab, you can click on installer, type in Charleston, and then we've got a few in the Charleston area who have installed mini vents before and know what they're doing and can help you with that.
Gotcha. So this is a way to mitigate the risk on your house. Show your insurance company that you have a product that will decrease the likelihood that your house is going to be damaged during a flood, and then therefore they're going to give you a discount.
Yep, absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
How can folks get more information about Smart Vent Foundation flood vents?
Go to smartvent.com, or you can go to yourfloodrisk.com for FRE. Again, that's the flood risk evaluator to help you save money on your flood insurance. So smartvent.com or yourfloodrisk.com, either one, and they'll have links to each other as well.
And I understand Smart Vent Foundation flood vents, you folks will be displaying at the Charleston Home and Design Show on Daniel Island, April 30th and May 1st.
Yep.
And you're waiving any of those flood risk evaluator fees that weekend at the home show. So if they come and see Smart Vent at the home show, they can get that flood risk evaluation for free, which is normally how much?
It's normally $250, and again, we see that we see 83% on average reductions. So people are getting their money back regardless normally, but we're totally waiving that. You're right, for the show. If you come by, I've got a little flyer. Grab the flyer. And you'll say that you saw Zach there, and it'll be 100% complimentary.
Great. Okay. Well, we have been talking with Zach Faulkner with Smart Vent Foundation Flood Vents. Thanks, Zach.
Thanks.